Good evening, Stuttgart. Welcome to the cradle of automotive excellence. For the last 130 years, people have been stamping, pressing, and selling metal, creating one of the largest and successful ecosystems in automotive. Having great automakers, first and second tier suppliers, engineers, a lot of knowledge, academia. I myself came in from New York, living in Holzgelling, the gate right in front of the Silverfing factory, had the first row experience about what has been achieved and also a lot of pride of what has been accomplished. But going forward, what does the future hold for us? In a world of ever-growing changes, globalization, customer demands which are changing daily, we in the automotive industry mentioned it in the mega trends like CASE, connected, vehicles being connected, vehicles being autonomous, vehicles being shared or being serviced for the future or electrified. So there are a lot of challenges in the future, and we see, looking at the other industries and looking at our usual suspects, how industry has been disrupted by Uber in the taxi business, which disrupted it, or hotel business disrupted by Airbnb, or of course Facebook with the whole social media and the media industry. And look at these have just been around for the last 15, 20 years. Look at their impact. So being in the automotive industry, question mark, what's going to be the next big change here? It might be already happening. Corporates try to face this with different approaches, different models. I introduce you two to you. One is the incubator model to force the entrepreneurship to get ideas inside out. In the meantime, of course, corporates with their size are sometimes a bit rigid in their processes. They're not that flexible. So you create this kind of space, these incubators, to fast-track ideas, to give talents, internal talents, the ideas to grow and cut away red tape. I myself was part of Lab 1886 for over 10 years, so I saw how this happened first, in the first row. Also there was how to get new ideas. So I was in Berlin, I was in Silicon Valley, and I was already 8 years ago looking to startups. I think this was a time where people really know how to spell the word startup. Experiencing that and trying to get these new ideas, these new technologies to Stuttgart. And you see these accelerator programs popping up across the whole world. Well, why do corporates need a program to get in contact with startups? Well, perhaps it's because to get startups and corporate together on same eye level, or create a space where partnership of equals can really flourish. I remember if a startup at that time came to Stuttgart to Gate 1, Werkstor 1, most of it would be stuck there mentally and physically. Nothing would happen. So this is the value of the so-called accelerator programs. And what you see is that, of course, they help to scout, because there's so much happening outside there, and just this incredible big number, there's no capacity in the world to really get a grip on that. But you see, if you go to these ecosystems, that everybody's there. You bump into the same usual suspects in energy industry, airline industry, automotive, finance, banks. So all of them are running there and looking for the Holy Grail, right? Everybody's trying to get hold of it. You see a lot of traveling, Silicon Valley, Tel Aviv, Shanghai, Helsinki, something like a startup safari tour. They're going there, people taking pictures, they can give a pat. Coming home, do things happen? Do things change? Rather getting the real experts, the real engineers in front of them. I was in Berlin, and it was tough to get people from Stuttgart to Berlin. It's only a 1-hour flight, but perhaps it's the inertia. You guys at Max Planck know that stuff better than I do. Or is it mindset issue? Perhaps the belief that the only innovation can happen out of Neckartal. Or those who were interested, they couldn't get a travel application signed. So anyway, it was tough. And the idea was, okay, if I cannot get the profit to the mountain, can I get the mountain to the profit? Wouldn't it be cool to get startups to come to Stuttgart? That's our TV tower. Or is that our TV tower? Right? Where's Stuttgart? For some Chinese tourists, it's the city next to Metzingen, which is the... Honestly, now, it's pretty a challenge because it is actually, as I mentioned, automotive Champions League. We've got so much knowledge, so much real people here who are engineers who really can get engaged in the automotive Champions League. But again, for startups, it's Regionalliga Süd, right? So how do we make a change? What is our offer? Because again, they can go anywhere nowadays across the whole world. So what's our offer? And what we do is, we came up and a bunch of colleagues, Dr. Philip Nighting, Alexander Sanovsky, we all sat together and we thought about, okay, how can we get these startups to come to Stuttgart? Ins Ländle. So I said, well, I want to have a German word, a name, a brand. So I said, okay, let's come up with a German word which is worldwide famous. Kindergarten, Oktoberfest, Autobahn. Right? Everybody, many people still envy the Germans for the Autobahn and has our automotive genes in it. So it works very nicely to play Startup-Autobahn, no limits. The sky is the limit. So we came up with this construction, Startup-Autobahn, where we are a venture client. It's not about 5,000 euros or 25,000 euros for 5%. No, that's crap. We want to work together to set up pilots, create a POC, to understand the technology and to see whether this technology can be put into our vehicles or put into our products. What's in for the startup? Oh, they possibly get a big corporate as a client. Before, a startup might be somewhere in the Swabian Alps 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and they would go to their local bank, Kreissparkasse Trochtelfingen, and they would get their funding, and over perhaps 20 years, they would, it's funny, right? They would move on, and they could, 20 years later, they could, service and be a supplier for a big corporate. Nowadays, money happens so quickly. Within a short time, money can just be wired quickly. So that's not the issue. It's about if we can do a pilot for the startup, he can quickly showcase the world that a big corporate is willing to be a client. A big corporate is ready to put their technology into 500,000 vehicles, 1 million vehicles, 1 million products. That's their true value. That can increase their market value, increase their reputation. Then they can go back to their VCs and their business angel or to Kreissparkasse Trochtelfingen. Another thing is to have the space. The arena, a great working space, which is not too far away from here, just a couple kilometers, is by the University of Stuttgart and 10,000 square meters, really state of the art, and that's where we can collaborate and make things happen. And we have a big partner here, Plug and Play from Silicon Valley, one of the accelerator programs. We thought about, should we do it on our own? Normally corporates like to do everything on their own. But we said, no, let's keep it neutral because it enables others to join, like others to participate. And we're not in this kind of business. We want to look for the best technology and the best startups. So what we do, it's a program twice a year, half year, like a Game of Thrones episode. Yeah. What do? We do scouting. What do we scout for? Well, for connectivity, for autonomous, for shared electrification. Big buzzwords. Blockchain. Yeah. Artificial intelligence, gaming, health, all these things which is in this cluster nowadays. It's very dynamic, and there are a lot of startups outside there which can bring a lot of value. Then, compared to before, where startups might be chosen by Höhle des Löwen, Lion's Den, or Shark Tank. No, we bring them to the experts, the guys who can really, engineers who can really judge these startups in depth. And they help to decide whether they join the program. The program is 100 days. Why 100 days? Why not 200 days? Why not 2 years? Well, that's perhaps something in the past which was a problem. That you start and you never end. At one point, it's about face saving, how to shut down the program, how to shoot the horse. So, 100 days is crisp and clear, and 100 days we decide jointly, do we continue or do we stop it? And that saves everybody's times and resources. If we make it then to the Expo Day, that's our Super Bowl, okay? That's where startups come to Stuttgart, VCs come to Stuttgart, the corporates. We have about 1,000 people. That's the largest event, one of the largest events in Europe for this, where we really make things happen and showcases that Stuttgart is alive in the startup scene. Da brennt die Luft. Okay. We decided on have an open platform. Frenemies, friends and enemies. Yeah. In a corporation like we're working for, it's sometimes a challenge. I was challenged like, Mr. Chow, why do you want to share the startups with other corporates? I said, German, I think you didn't understand the game. First of all, we don't own them. I think slavery has been abolished. Yeah? And it's more like voice of Germany. The startups, they decide who they want to partner with. Yeah? We have to get our act together and be competitive and attractive enough for them wanting to working with us. That must be our goal. We shouldn't fear competition. Competition is good. So we have now over 30 corporate partners, which creates a shopping mall for startups. So they would come from Korea, from Israel, Ukraine, Australia, for 1 day. Because in 1 day or half a day, they can meet up with 8 or 9 or 10 of these corporates at one space, in one event. This you could never have achieved out of Korea by phone, let alone getting the right people together. As you today are, I would say, open-minded, above average, right? Here also we have people who are open-minded or innovative, and you guys have a certain clientele effect. You guys got the right people together to make things happen. And that's something is the true value. From lab to app, this is one app called What 3 Words? You can download it. It's a navigation system. Why do we need a navigation system? We got good equipment in our cars. Why do we need an app for navigation? Well, it's pretty innovative. It's more or less the whole world in an app in 3 by 3 meters. So every piece of the world can be identified by 3 by 3 meters. So this could be cup, spoon, cupcake, right? Unique identifier. So rather than putting into your Navi, Heisenbergstraße 3, Stuttgart, you just put in, by speech, cupcake, car, and spoon, right? And then it would bring you there right away. So that's innovation, and that's something which we were able to introduce. But we've got a lot of other success stories. A lot of startups have grown via our program. They've got significant funding, over 1 billion euros. Was it due to Startup-Autobahn? Well, at least we did not dilute the value. And we truly believe it helped because we were able to showcase them in a worldwide audience. So again, putting together what's in for you, what's in if you were one of the corporates, what's in if you were a startup. It's about scouting. It's about looking for the technology, identifying what is relevant. It's about matchmaking, putting the right people together, and to accelerate this process quickly. Let's be focused, let's make things happen, let's make a POC, let's put that thing onto the dance floor. And in the end, it's about this big thing called culture. It is also a culture rocket. It's about changing mindset. It's about getting prepared for the future. It's about learning agile methods and going forward. Thank you very much.